Israel Adesanya is set to move up to face current light heavyweight champion Jan Blachowicz sometime in March for the title, according to Uncle Dana.
Israel Adesanya was in attendance today, and he was tweeting out Champ Squared.
Champs what?
Champ Squared, like Champ 2. Is he fighting Jan Blachowicz next?
Yeah.
He is?
Yeah. Listen, when the fight was over, on Fight Island, the last fight, I was like, I'm going to have to sit down with this kid and convince him on why he needs to fight Whitaker. And Whitaker comes out and says he doesn't want to fight him. Craziest shit I've ever seen. So, yeah, there's no arguing with Israel now. I thought Whitaker deserved the shot, and Whitaker doesn't want it, so yeah, we'll let him do it.
So, if he... Would that presumably be in like February or March when we potentially go back to Abu Dhabi, that fight?
Well, I don't know. I don't know where we'll be.
But if he wins the 205-pound title, everyone's...
Listen, man, after... How many days we got left? 4 days, 5 days, whatever? After all this wacky shit's over, we'll find out what happens. I think that when the election's over, a lot of shit's going to change.
But if he wins the 205-pound title, then everyone's going to want him to fight John Jones at light heavyweight.
If he wins the 205-pound?
Yeah.
Okay. Me too.
Without looking at the betting lines, I would venture to say the red-hot Izzy will be a favorite to not only win, but also finish Jan. Will Izzy knock out the champion in a higher weight class? If it happens, I think this is how. Before we go any further, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We do a weekly podcast and talk about breaking news in the UFC and MMA. There's a reason why Izzy is favored to be his heavier opponent. Izzy has been on a much longer winning streak, been more active, and just has accomplished so much in his almost 3-year UFC career. Izzy's confidence is at an all-time high. He is aiming to become a 2-division champion and has no plans to give up his middleweight title. If he wins, he will be part of an exclusive club of champs in the UFC.
Says, no, I spoke to Izzy. He's very persuasive. We're going to do Izzy versus Jan Blachowicz. He's going to move up to 205. And so let me ask you, when did this idea cross your mind? When did you decide that this was something that you wanted to do?
I wish I spoke to you first. I honestly wish I spoke to you first. It would be better. But I ended up speaking with a few other outlets because they were accessible. But I think that, next time get to me first. Nah, actually, it's easier, But besides the point, I'll talk to you off air. And yeah, I was really going for the Cannonier fight, and I was getting, well, this would make more sense. I was like, we'll see. Like, it wasn't really something that I was hungry for. I was looking forward to that Cannonier fight, just because I thought it would be epic. I mean, maybe we were just not meant to fight, but yeah, it was during fight week that the seed got planted, and then. Yeah, it made sense to me. It made sense to me with the landscape of things. It's like the universe just gave me the most awesome alley-oop, like actually. Yeah.
And when you say fight week, do you mean your fight week against Costa?
Yeah.
Jan Blachowicz is not lacking confidence either. He is on a 4-fight winning streak and will defend his title for the first time against Izzy. He has so much to show and tell the world during the bout, but I think Izzy will probably win by KO somewhere between the 2nd and 3rd round. Let's take a look at how this can be done. A turning point in Izzy's career was the fight against Kelvin Gastelum. Up to this point, nobody could really touch or hit Izzy. Whether or not Kelvin game planned his approach completely or not, he was able to touch and put Izzy into a danger zone that he's never been in before. How did he do this? Any combo that Kelvin threw was being dodged and countered by Izzy. It was his jab that was connecting because of the hand speed Kelvin had. But back to our point, what happened in this fight that changed Izzy? There were instances where Kelvin bested Izzy in the striking exchanges, and that was when Izzy was the aggressor. Izzy got comfortable and sensed that he was winning the fight. Because of this, he no longer stayed on the outside and countered. Rather, he pushed forward, which led to Kelvin countering. Izzy was getting touched and was no longer dictating the pace and control of the fight. Kelvin recognized that he was just as quick and was having more success when he countered and threw only single strikes. Izzy would go on to win that fight by going back to his original approach and letting Kelvin be the first to throw. Ever since this fight, Izzy seems to have recognized that he has trouble when he has to be first. He is much better at staying at range and letting his opponent make mistakes. Yoel Romero and the Paulo Costa fight are prime examples of this. Romero literally froze himself in the middle of the ring. What did Izzy do? He did not let himself be first and overextend into Yoel's game. They are both counterfighters, but Izzy just has more tools at his disposal. He doesn't need to rush and get hit by Romero. He'd rather stay on the outside and pick his shots until his opponent makes a mistake. He did this again and much better against Paulo Costa. Costa came forward but was stopped by bruising calf kicks over and over, unable to close the distance. By the second round, Costa was so worn down that he left himself open and was finished after he was reaching and trying to hit Izzy.
Worthy, man, what did you think about him in there tonight?
Well, so much for fight of the year, but domination of the year. I mean, it was weird because, if you look at every other fight that Costa has had, he comes out and goes after people like they owe money, and I think he landed one jab in this fight. Didn't try to clinch in the fence, didn't try to put pressure, kept going back to the center of the octagon. It was very weird.
Yeah, it was a weird. I mean, do you think he was in his head? Was it just the antics that slowed everything down? What happened?
You're gonna have to ask him that question. I have no idea. But no matter what it was, Adesanya put on a clinic. I mean, the first 3 calf kicks busted up his leg. Then he hit him right on the side of the knee. Had a huge welt on the side of the knee. Then the shin to the eye, and just absolutely dismantled him and easily won the fight.
All this broad analysis leads to what exactly? Jan versus Izzy could be a repeat of history. Jan is very good at controlling the pace of the fight. He draws his opponents into his game and stops his opponents from implementing their tools. Jan will throw limited strikes, make minimal movements, and make the fight really relaxed. This leads to Jan imposing his power and accuracy on his opponent and eventually finishing them. Does this sound familiar? This is what Izzy has been negating his opponents in doing. He does not let his opponents drag him into a firefight and out of his approach. What plays into Izzy's favor is the fact that Jan doesn't avoid taking leg kicks. He will check but also just eat them. Let's take a look at Jan's opponents that typically throw leg kicks. In his most recent title matchup against Dominic Reyes, Jan absorbed 10 leg kicks and avoided only 1. In the fight against Thiago Santos, where he lost, he absorbed 26 leg kicks and avoided 10. Izzy will stand on the outside and throw leg kick after leg kick until Jan's leg turns blue. As that happens, Jan will plop forward trying to land any strike possible. Jan has a tendency to blitz his opponents with a fury of combos, either ending in a body kick or a head strike. I see Izzy being able to see this coming, use his movement to avoid the shots, and then counter with a devastating blow. Izzy will have to stick to his game plan and continue to be disciplined in his approach. He will frustrate Jan throughout the fight because Jan simply cannot answer for all the leg kicks and strikes from distance. However, one false movement and it's night-night for Izzy and his journey to becoming the greatest of all time.
Izzy and Jan, I think it's a perfect fight. If Izzy's gonna go up in weight, it's the perfect fight for him to fight. The speed, the reach, the range. I mean, sure, Jan is a big guy, but he's slower. Yeah, and he's mainly just a straight boxer.
He's a striker.
He's just a striker, but mainly a straight boxer. The kicks will be a huge factor. The speed will be a huge factor. And the style of Izzy, I think, is going to be too elusive for him.
Just a sniper comparatively. That's where I look at it. If I'm going to take a guy in a fight and I look at it and say, all right, who's going to win this? You've got to have as the guy that is Blachowicz, the straight basic boxer in MMA, not a guy that's really known to take people down, that doesn't have that big pedigree of competition behind him and able to do it. Not that unbelievable submission guy either. A guy that wins by knockouts, ground and pound. Mm-hmm. Izzy's not the guy to get that win against, man. And, Izzy is, I can just tell you, man, he is so slick when he is fighting. And you take a look at what he did with Paulo Costa. I'm not saying that Jan is going to fight that same type of fight, but there was a reason that Costa was fighting that fight, because Izzy made him.
Yeah.
All right. That is, you can sit there and say anything you want. When Paulo went in, he had a game plan. That game plan fell apart fast based upon what that guy across from him was doing. If you go back and watch it, it was art. He just systematically broke him down, picked him apart, made him step into areas where he was waiting for him, smacked him. I honestly think Izzy's going to have 2 titles, man. If I was with Blachowicz this time, I said, that's not the fight that we want, right?
If you liked the video, make sure to press the thumbs up. And if you want more, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and a podcast talking about the latest news and events in UFC and MMA. Follow our Instagram page and TikTok in the description below. Who do you think wins and how? Do you think Izzy can knock out Jan?